introductions for everybody. I'm doing them for Jason.
Yeah, of course. We're live, guys. Good morning, America, and welcome back to the very best hour of your day, considering your day is
Assuming.
very mediocre. assuming, of course. I keep messing up that one word.
Eric's going to fire you. I'm telling you.
Where are you?
Becky, how is your
Eric,
schedule
Rodney
next week? You're going to need, we might need you.
I can assure you this is the last day I'm putting eyelashes on at 8:20 in the morning. So
it takes you that long?
That's when the eyelashes happen. It's a whole. I'll send you the schedule.
Yeah.
What if it would happen? I'm just asking. If you never took them off, is that possible or no?
No.
Okay.
That's what I do. I just never take.
That's so
I don't.
I had a friend one time. They were trying to convince me to do contacts, and I said, "Well, is there a contact I never have to take out?" Okay. They said, "Well, no." And I said, "Well, we're wearing glasses."
Becky, would you like to introduce our special guest for the day?
I would love to. Everybody meet my very good friend, Jason Eatmon. He is the CXO of ICU Technologies. We have been working together for almost 9 years, I think. Like a long time.
Long time.
I started when I was 11, though. So.
Hey, Melissa.
Hello. So Jason is one of those rare, amazing sales managers who appreciates the value of marketing, which is why we are such good friends. So welcome, Jason. Yay.
Welcome.
Hey, Gary.
Thank you.
Welcome,
at this
Jason.
point, I feel exceptionally welcome. Yes.
Also, fun fact about Jason. Jason was in the Navy, correct? And he worked on a nuclear submarine. So he's literally a nuclear scientist.
Really cool.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Literally half of that was true. That's awesome.
Have you guys seen
He's just a nuclear scientist.
No, I just have this rule that I don't go into anything that purposely sinks. So I was on the point farthest from submarines. I was a nuclear engineer on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, that is literally what I just said. So.
Yeah, that's what you meant.
That's exactly right.
Which could G.I. Joe into or transform into a submarine? Yeah.
Yeah, you know we're such good friends. I literally know everything about him.
Okay.
Have you guys seen the new Oppenheimer movie yet?
It just came out. How could we have seen it?
Oh, what? It's strange though.
Wait, does it come out today?
Is it? In the Philippines, it was out since like last weekend. It's strange.
Yeah, but are the people that are in the ones? But are the people in the ones here in yours? Like is Cillian Murphy in yours, or is it a different actor?
No, of course.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
I think he pronounces it Killian. I think
Killian. Sorry,
but
I mean
he's hot, so I will be saying that.
Well, he was in Peaky Blinders. Did you ever see Peaky Blinders?
That's not how you say it, but you can't say it the way you're supposed to say it, probably on live stream.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, exactly. For Peaky, yeah, you're right, exactly. Well, I toned it down, but I walk around saying that.
My 20-year-old son is like, Dad, it's not Peaky Blinders, and then he corrects me. So
yeah, my wife does that, but
bottom line, homeboy has bone structure, so yes, I will be saying that.
I heard it was like 3 hours long, and then I heard also that he existed on cigarettes and coffee. And I said, "How did he get my diet from my 20s?"
Also,
who gave him that diet?
For him, why is that hot? I don't know.
Well, honestly, the only negative thing, and I don't even know that negative is the right adjective. The only thing that I've heard about it that kind of made people go, "Whoa," was apparently there's a 15-minute. Now that feels like an exaggeration, but apparently it's close to a 15-minute sex scene with him in it, and you see everything. I'm just saying.
I feel like you just made that up.
Nope.
Is that Becky's car that just started?
No, I am.
Becky's leaving now. Jason, it's just me, you, and Robin. She's out.
Where's Becky? Oh, she's at the movie.
Yeah,
she's in mine.
I have a client meeting I forgot about, so have a good show.
That's funny.
Okay, so before we're gonna go into the Jason Eatmon part of the show, we do like to cover the news because America demands our opinions. Yeah, so our first story of the day is Apple is warning its users in the UK that there is a potential for them to lose access to FaceTime and iMessenger. or it's called iMessage, my bad. So they're having like this new government amendment to online safety, and they're pushing for firms to install tech that can easily scan for child abuse material. So it's problematic because you know how FaceTime and iMessage are so end-to-end encrypted. This requirement means that they're going to have to weaken security for those things. So we have a moral dilemma. So we can either choose to catch child predators and potential human trafficking, or we keep our access to FaceTime and iMessage.
Or you could use an Android.
That's true.
Is Google allowed in the UK? I think they got banned, right? And they get or something happened.
So
no, that's Facebook.
Rodney, what are you saying? If you want to abuse your kids, you buy Android?
In the UK, maybe.
I thought we were marketers here.
I'm just trying to help them out.
Oh gosh.
Okay, that went south.
I feel like your contract with Apple.
Yeah. My they're gonna wait. Someone's at the door. It's not Steve Jobs. What's his name? He's here for my iPhone.
Is that a red
Tim Cook
laser dot on your forehead?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, I think first of all, I never trust when they're like, we're going to use this to do something really good, because ultimately they just want your information and they want to spy on your stuff. So then what are they going to call child abuse? What's that definition? What's the definition of predatory behavior? Because I feel like it's always going to change to fit somebody's political narrative.
True. I also don't know if they're really sending it through like iMessage and FaceTime. There's probably another app.
I mean, there are lots of apps, I'm sure, for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like they always make the problem much. Anytime they try to solve a problem, they just make a different problem much worse. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of the stuff that I sent could probably get me on an FBI list, but it's out of context.
It's fine. We've been canceled way too many times already.
Yeah.
Eric has at least. That's why he's.
We've been canceled so many times. We're back again.
Yeah, your got canceled. I just think the strangest things about this conversation is that Becky's under the impression that she wasn't already on the FBI watch list, and that's my takeaway.
Yeah, but not that one.
That's a good point.
Jason
comes like off a guardian angel.
Jason comes off as quite a serious guy, but like he really puts a couple lines in there that like, whoa, this guy's actually a comedian.
Well, I mean, when you're a nuclear scientist on a submarine that's transformed in from an aircraft carrier, you have to have both comedic values and you have to be quite serious at times.
You have to have a good sense of humor, right?
Sorry. I was trying to tell everybody how smart you are. I firmly regret that choice.
The safety of everyone, Melissa says that we should just spy away. Nothing in the past has worked, and we have to think a little bit differently.
Agree to disagree? I don't.
You got to ask Mark Zuckerberg how to spy. He's doing a pretty good job.
Well, because he learned from Congress, so he learned from the press and from the FBI, so he got his training at the top.
That's a good point.
All right, let's move to the next story. I think Rodney knows this next one best.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, and he said something quite controversial, and he might be canceled for it. So he says the New York City no longer has room for immigrants, and our cup has runneth over. Your Mary really talks like this. Doeseth thy cuppeth truly runneth over? It's so weird.
He's very Shakespearean.
Yeah, it is. Oh,
well, all I could say is that he's better than De Blasio was.
Is he?
That's all I can really say. Yeah, De Blasio was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I could have run New York City better than him.
You ever wake up from one nightmare and then you fall back asleep and then you go right into a different one?
Oh, mine usually just like continue from the last one.
It's like one long nightmare.
I feel like they're like, oh my gosh, this person was so bad. We need to get him out of office and get someone else into office. And then they do the exact same policies and they're like, why didn't this work? Because it's the exact same thing they've been trying to do with just a different person doing it.
So
that earring's a little small.
I'll just say overall I think it's worth probably sharing this. I'm not a fan of this guy 92.7% of the time. The last time I looked, but he actually said migrants, not immigrants, which I think is absolutely critical in defining and the difference between those two words, because I have found that most times people are arguing and we don't have consensus on the words that were used. And that is almost 100% of the time the problem. We're literally arguing about two different things. And then, one side throws out the word racist, and then it's just game over. Everyone goes behind bulletproof glass and starts throwing eggs. So he said migrants, which is a totally different discussion than immigrants. Because I don't think anyone would say that. And if you have logistically no more room, that's just a math problem. And the cool thing about math is it doesn't care how anybody else feels about it.
Right.
That's true.
I mean, if you have 1,000 beds and 10,000 people, 9,000 people will live on the street. And that is a math problem. Now, if he's lying, that's something different. If he's exaggerating and, using more of his hubris, then that's a problem. But I think it's just my warning to anyone that's listening. I don't know how many, do you have listeners? I don't know.
We have three. We have three, only three.
So the three of you out there, I think it's always worthy to take pause and look, because this caught me off guard, but it's migrant is definitely a different word than immigrant.
Yeah, no, Jason's very sharp there.
That's very true.
So he's also saying that illegal aliens are a very heavy burden in New York City. So I'm not one to speak because I don't know the situation that well enough. But obviously, Rodney, you live in New York. Is there really a migrant crisis there?
I don't know, but I can tell you that there's a lot of people in New York City.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say too, right? And I'm just asking because I don't know. I know the difference between migrants and immigrants, but like I originally from North Carolina, where we had a pretty large migrant population simply because of the farming. And then I think to myself, there's not a lot of farming in New York City. Matter of fact, there's none, right? So I don't know why they would be shipping people to New York City to do farming, right? Or am I missing it here?
I don't know that the intent is the occupation and their occupation or role is necessarily like the first priority in the process, which because they're not bringing in for a specific purpose, right? We're not bringing migrants in, and this is definitely a conversation to be had, but I also feel like it does not. If it's a math problem in New York, it can very easily also be a math problem in Florida, in Texas, in New Mexico, all of those states as well, Arizona, California. So I also think it's really interesting that they're like, oh, this is causing us issues. And then on the flip of the coin, but the southern states need to stop talking about why it's a problem, because it's not a problem for them. So I think that's an interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I can just tell you this, like in New York City, like doing anything in New York City with a car and a bunch of people is a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Parking, getting around, like anybody, like when I lived in New York City, I never used my car. You use the subway or you walk, or maybe you ride city bike now. I don't know. Right. But no one's getting in their car and driving anywhere unless you're leaving the city.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, just getting a bus into Manhattan would be a nightmare. Right.
I think if it's a math problem there, it can be a math problem other places.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, there's an issue, but also it's a resource issue. It's a productivity issue. There's a lot of things that we need to consider.
Yeah.
But for sure, it's a conversation.
I would never imagine Rodney Steele taking the subway in New York. So I'm guessing there's just I'm guessing it's filled with all the classics.
I've seen Mike Bloomberg on the subway, and he could buy the subway. Maybe he owns it now. I don't know.
It's crazy how New York works.
Keanu Reeves has been on the subway. You may not have heard of him. He's been in a few movies. No, seriously, in New York City, everybody takes the subway unless you're just uninformed or an idiot.
I had a cigarette one time with Keanu Reeves.
Oh wow,
nice.
Jason, you smoke?
No, well, I do when Keanu Reeves is at the smoke out in the parking lot. I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm gonna go hang out with Keanu Reeves because he's in the parking lot. He was shooting the movie Destination Wedding, but the hotel he was staying at in Pismo was where I was, and so I pulled up and to give the valet my car, and they're like, "Hey, that's Keanu Reeves. What's he doing? He comes out here to smoke like 4 times an hour." Well, do you have a cigarette? I want to go over there. So I went over and talked to him about it. I just, I acted I never know how I'm gonna act with famous people, so I acted like I didn't know who he was. Which
how was the experience?
He was. It was awesome, and what it continued beyond that. Like he was very down to earth, very cool. I think he's a very private person naturally.
Yeah.
But I also think I caught him at a time where he was like he was deep in that depression thing, right? So he was kind of just trying to stay to himself.
Yeah.
He stayed very close to the exits. His room was on the first floor, so we didn't have to take the elevator. But I saw him a couple other times, and I waved. He's like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" So we're basically best friends.
Best friends.
Is what Becky would say.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because there's actually a subreddit that's literally dedicated for like people and their encounters with Keanu Reeves. And they all say the exact same thing. Like he's very down to earth, and I think that's the only celebrity that has a dedicated subreddit for like celebrity encounters.
Yeah.
Wow, that's it. That actually doesn't
Thank you,
surprise
Jamie.
me.
I don't think that he. I read somewhere. I don't know if it's true. I don't think he has like security that a lot of the other people have. Like I've seen him walking around in New York City before.
Yeah,
I've never talked to him, but I've seen him walking around by himself.
So, would you like to know why that is? Because he doesn't need it, actually. Like, he could actually kill you. Like, that's not a.
That's true.
So here's some things. Like, I'm not shy about this, but I am a safe gun owner. I have lots of guns that are safe. Okay. And I know how to use them. I know how to take care of them. I know how to use them safely. But he legitimately, that stuff you see in his movies like John Wick, he is hailed as literally the best weapons actor in history of all time because he legitimately knows how to shoot all of those weapons and handle them. And so I happened to, a friend of mine who's in law enforcement uses the same instructor that he did down in Southern California and literally says there's no one better with weapons than, I almost said John Wick. That's how it was.
Oh yeah.
But
I saw
not
his,
Neo, not Neo. Ted, not
I
Ted.
saw his
sorry.
viral video of him doing the training exercise with the guns on the firing range. I think he was training with some other female actresses on a movie set. It was very impressive. Didn't even miss anything.
No, he's seriously like he's the man's man. I love that guy.
He's a national treasure, as Eric would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
we
him
pick
and
certain people and we make them national treasures. Like Chris Rock is a national treasure.
Betty White.
Betty White. Tony Bennett, who just passed away. He was a treasure.
R.I.P. Oh.
Yeah, no, she's seriously.
Okay, so this might be a sin, but I don't know who Betty White is. Also because I'm from the Philippines, just to give some context for Jason. But
the other thing is he's in the Philippines and he also has never seen Golden Girls, so just putting it out there. So he doesn't know.
Robin, after I watch Oppenheimer 25 times this weekend, we're gonna have a Golden Girls marathon.
Okay.
At least
I promise you I'll watch
minutes of it 25 times.
I'm just gonna watch the 15 minutes of it 25 times.
It's a clip over and over. Right?
Why did your TV break? I don't know.
All right. So the next story is part of like a daily segment that seems to, we didn't even create the segment, it just kind of came up on its own because it just happened all the time. But it's titled "What is Going On in Florida?" So apparently there was and it involved one very specific chicken nuggets that was worth $1 million. So I don't know, you might have heard the story of like this McDonald's incident where someone spilled coffee on someone and they were awarded like $3 million. This is actually very similar. So this Florida family was awarded nearly $1 million in damages after a chicken McNugget fell on her daughter's lap. Initially, they were seeking $15 million in damages, but at least they did get $1 million. So the defense actually argued that they should get $156,000 to cover the damages because it was a second-degree burn and it recovered in 3 weeks. Now, my question for you good American folks is, why on earth does a small nugget-sized second-degree burn cost $156,000 to treat? What is going on?
It's the healthcare system.
There's no way that's what it actually costs.
$165,000 is a significant. I had a client one time. I actually dabble in insurance. And I had a client one time who had his son was airlifted off of a mountain in Colorado, and I think the bill was like $18,000 or something.
Yeah, like
And he had a, you know.
There's no way. There's no way that's.
So wait, so that was like their bargaining price of the defense, and eventually they settled for 800 grand.
So because I think there's a lot of pain and suffering added to the. I don't think that was just a medical expense thing. There could not have been for. I think what happened was the dollar signs.
So
okay.
So I'm just curious.
That's true.
Who has kids here? Who has kids? Nobody. Okay. So I've been to the drive-through of many kinds, not just McDonald's, many times, and arguably I get it. Like probably enough to where you should call CPS, right? Because I feed my kids BS, right? And at least 50% of my kids are amazing, right? So they're 100% amazing. I'm just kidding. Like one of them might be watching right now. So, and whoever you are, you're one of the good ones. Okay, but
so we have 4 watchers.
But the thing that bothered me the most about this story actually is when I read it, something glared at me. It burned my retinas, and that is during the trial. The offense, the lawyers for the mom played the screams of the little girl for the jury. And I just got to tell you, if she had time to get her phone out, so nobody's naturally recording a video like, hey, look, this is the 100, because she also acknowledges she goes to McDonald's all the time. The little girl still wants to go. So she's clearly not traumatized by this. The little girl still wants to go to McDonald's. They still eat at McDonald's all the time. So this wasn't like a one and done. So some guy said he has 8 kids. So you get it. Thank you. I don't even know. I don't know how to deal with talking and trying to read at the same time. I suck at it. But what stood out to me is so bizarre is like, this is a routine thing. Why was her phone on? Oh, I know. It wasn't on. But instead of removing the chicken nugget that was apparently over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, burning her daughter, she videos it to get the screams on camera. I'm not going to make any judgment on that personally. I'm just going to throw it out to the jury right now. But that is a little strange for me to think about, because like, have you ever go, oh my God, I got to get that picture, and you get your phone out and you forget your code, your face somehow contorts enough where it doesn't unlock, and like how much time it takes.
Yeah.
But you got screams to play in the courtroom.
Becky, does your phone still recognize you? When you put on your makeup.
How dare you? I woke up looking like that.
Jason, you nailed it. Like I was just thinking about that. Like I'll try to get a cute picture of my dog, and I'll have the phone in my hand, and it's like I can't unlock it. Where's the camera switch? He's moved. Right. What's happened? I've dropped my phone. Yeah.
Well, when fight or flight kicks in, okay, or apparently there's a fight or flight or finance, right? It's with the F that kicked in for her, right? So, fight, flight, or finance. There's actually 5: fight, flight, freeze, feign, or something. I forgot. But now there's a 6th one because of this woman, and it's finance. So, but it's crazy to think, because when you are in that situation, unless you've been trained in the military or do training of some kind, you lose blood flow to your neocortex. Like you can't think clearly.
Yeah.
But somehow she has a recording of her screaming daughter who's in pain right next to her, and plays it for the jury. And I just like, how is no one writing about that? Like, what is happening?
I caught my cat's tail in sometimes he goes in my linen closet, my bathroom, and I caught it in the linen closet, and he screamed, and then I screamed, and I literally forgot how doors worked for a second. And then it took me like a minute to like fumble through it. But the last thing I was doing was like looking for my phone. Like this.
Right. It's also very questionable for the parent.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It is. I think people look at big corporations and they just see dollar signs.
Yeah. Fighter, finance.
Finance. Yeah.
I'm adding that to my repertoire, by the way, and I'm adding this story to it. And it's all because of you guys. So when I coach people, I've uncovered the 6th F.
At the expense of your child.
Please do. It's good promotion for the show. We'll maybe get 6 viewers next time.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fantastic scientific breakthrough this morning.
I'd also just like to mention, so James Black, the guy that commented he has 8 kids, So he's actually also solving like the world's problems with soil, introducing microbes, and he's doing that all on top of having 8 kids. Now this one woman in Florida like has 1 kid, and she's just she can't even think about the child suffering. She just takes out her phone and records it. Like that's what this mother is doing. I mean, damn.
Well, that's a very cool point, and also what a neat way to call out James, like the 8 kids, and you know what? I have 4 kids, and I have enough microbes to change a lot of soil too. So with 8, I am absolutely positive he is not short of microbes. That's awesome.
That's a good point. Okay. So this next one isn't really so much of a news story, but it did make the front page of a very reputable station. Any guesses?
Fox News.
Jason Aldean. Oh.
But yes, you're correct. It was Fox News. So like the article has so many unusual uses for WD-40. I'm sure you guys know a couple of, but here are some of my favorite ones. Makes plastic furniture as good as new, cleans carpet stains, it prevents snow buildup on your windows, repels wasps, ants, spiders, it waterproofs your shoes and boots, it removes chewing gum from everywhere. So gardeners swear to use it to kill their weeds, plumbers swear to use it to clean their toilets. If anyone tuning in has kids, it completely removes crayon and markers from the wall. If any kids are tuning in and your parents are giving you problems, spray some WD-40 on them. They'll probably go away as well. That was my favorite.
I also heard if like you get like paint on your car, it'll take that off. Not like the paint that's
it does.
Like extra.
I drink a bottle of this every morning. I can tell you it works. Miracle. Cleans me right up.
So it also takes paint off of leather without damaging the leather. That's something really good.
Can I tell you a use that it may not have told you about for WD-40 that I learned and I used? Is that if you have stainless steel appliances, you can clean them with it.
Oh yeah. Well, here now this is one everyone needs to write down for sure. Like because some of us can't afford stainless steel appliances. But that's a good plug for how rich you are. Yeah. But I'm saying. But the thing is it gets gum out of things. So gum in hair, WD-40. Now, don't smoke while you're doing that, and you're good. But I will tell you, growing up in Nebraska, the real use for WD-40 that probably didn't make the list is flamethrower. Because if you light the end of that little tube that goes in, it is so sick. And you can kill a lot of wasps and all kinds of stuff with that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
409 tastes better.
409 tastes better.
So when the gum is in your hair, WD-40. When the gum is in your mouth, 409.
Garrett must be Greek, like the Windex. That's funny.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go buy 5 cans of WD-40.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we do have one more segment. Does anyone know who this fine young gentleman is? Yeah, go on.
Obama?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So we're asking.
Yeah, a lot of people find this like they can't believe that this was their once president. And God, I don't know if you guys like Obama, but I miss him a lot.
Rodney hates him. He's out.
I guess he just left. What happened? Okay, so Barack Obama has recently shared his summer playlist, and well, I gotta say, it's pretty dope. So here's what he's listening to this summer. It's got Tina Turner's "River Deep, Mountain High." You guys remember that one?
That is a great song.
How do you remember? Yeah. Why'd you say remember? Do you remember that one? Like that came out. Like how old do you think we are? Like you're a guy that didn't know who Betty White was, and you just age checked us. What is happening? This is
because
okay.
White and I went to high school together.
I remember this one particularly.
I've never been so abused in my life.
I apologize. This one I remember because it came out on the year I was born, so that's why I remember that.
Okay.
Okay.
And my father would play it a lot.
So 2016 it came out.
Yeah, relatively. So I don't know where Rodney went. I don't know if his hate for Obama was that bad. I actually think it was. He did mention on one of our other shows that Barack Obama was his second favorite president. I don't remember who the first was, but he did like Obama. Okay, another one that makes the list is indie rock group Boy Geniuses. Not strong enough. I've never heard this one.
Do you have anything, Jace?
No, unless he gets into like hair bands like from the 80s, I'm out.
I'm shocked that his music knowledge is extensive.
Okay. So this next one, I'm curious if Jason likes this. Becky obviously hates this kind of genre, but he also has California Love by Tupac.
Yeah, not my jam.
No?
Did she tell you where I was from? Nebraska? Like I don't think that's a thing. I didn't know who Tupac was until, isn't he dead?
Oh, he is, yeah.
Yeah.
We also covered a story yesterday where like they've just recently opened up his case again, which is funny. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of cases they should open up because I think a lot of people that we think OD'd on whatever are actually were fentanyl overdoses. That I'm just saying. I'm just making that plug.
Which one was your favorite
Of those songs?
of the of the overdoses?
I think Whitney Houston was a fentanyl overdose.
Interesting.
And honestly, like that's not my go-to genre, but if you can't acknowledge her as one of the best female or best singers of all time, like
for sure,
it's a real tragedy.
For sure. But also I wonder because speedball is like a thing. Is that what she died of? Speedball? Which is heroin. I think it's heroin and cocaine, right?
Who knows?
Heroin and something. And you're not supposed to, it's like an upper and a downer. But that's what a lot of people have died of. And I
the closest I ever got to that was vodka Red Bulls. And that's seriously like
even then. Sometimes I'll drink coffee a little later and then take a melatonin. And it's like same thing. I just wonder. I'm like, am I gonna go the way Elvis went?
Wow. Yeah. That I really don't think that's gonna happen to you. You are so weird about this stuff. That's so funny. Like, oh my gosh, I think I smelled marijuana. Am I gonna die?
I've never said that.
No, but you basically think it all the time.
Well, to be fair, for someone who claims that she's never done any drugs before, the fact that you know like all the street names for these drugs is kind of suspicious.
Well, I know for a fact that she has not.
You never try your own supply. It's just good business, you guys.
She called me one time. Hey, I just walked past a cannabis dispensary. Am I going to be okay?
Will you go with me to NA?
Do you think there's anything on the street that can come through my shoes?
Okay. Also on this list, so I'd like to mention he's still listening to some new artists just to like stay on the bandwagon. He listens to Ice Spice and Nicki Minaj. Quite surprising. I did not expect that. Anyone listen to Ice Spice, Nicki Minaj?
I've never heard of Ice Spice or Ice Spice.
Ice Spice.
Ice. I've never, but I like Starships. It's a great song.
Yeah, again, she's a powerhouse, Nicki Minaj. Like she's super talented.
Nicki Minaj is a little hit or miss for me. I think some of it is. I think when it's authentic, it's great. I think some of it is trying to be controversial, and then I'm out.
No, I'm not a fan of that either. But from a talent perspective, undeniable.
Fair. For sure.
That's why I'm like a little bit scared to bring my opinion on Nicki Minaj because I know it's so 50-50.
Why would you be scared about having an opinion? Without opinions, you wouldn't have statistics like 50-50.
Because this is the timeline.
Yes, and because I'm Gen Z and we're just so worried about being canceled and everything. So you gotta excuse me.
Okay, what do you think? Tell us the truth. What do you really think?
I think it's garbage.
Okay.
Okay, so follow that up with what's not garbage. Like I'm curious now what you like to listen to.
Like new artists, I love Daniel Caesar, Coldplay, the 1975. I like music that speaks to me and has a lot of meaning into it, rather than
if
just
anyone
like cancels
you because you have an opinion about music you like, that would be ridiculous. So I mean, and by the way, I'm going to go on record here. One of the fundamental prerequisites for being canceled is choosing to let them cancel you. So just choose not to, and you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, that's our co-host Eric Ryan's philosophy as well.
Yeah, well, good.
Eric is proactively trying to get canceled.
Who, me?
I know.
Eric.
Oh,
Our co-host of the
Never met
show.
Eric.
okay.
Anyway.
Robin, I respect that. I saw Coldplay in concert one time, and it was so amazing how they interacted with the audience.
Yeah.
In fact, they pulled a guy up to play a whole song. The lead singer sang with a guy playing the keyboard one-on-one and did the whole song instead of just a little excerpt. He did the entire song with his fan. That was amazing on piano. And
Yeah,
I ever since I've been a Coldplay fan.
I gotta admit, I have a little boy crush on Chris Martin as well. And I'm so glad you said that because I'm actually seeing Coldplay live in January with my
Yeah, well,
girlfriend.
bring a little sign. Oh, practice your piano and bring a little sign. Said, "Let me play with you." You might. That's the ticket.
I'll try.
I
Can I
hate
play with you?
Have they ever brought a guitarist up stage, or it's just piano?
So, a real story about Chris Martin. I'm not even joking. Like in Southern California, I have a friend down there, and she was sitting at a place having a margarita, and Chris Martin ends up sitting next to her because the I-5 had closed down, and his wife at the time and whatever had to get some supplies at the mall, and this restaurant was at the mall, and she ended up sitting next to him for several hours, and visited, like talked about, they were being vegan at the time, so she was talking about that. It was a really amazing story, and he is as cool as you think he is.
Yeah. I try to be vegan, but I'm just not as cool. I'll admit.
I'm vegan right now, and I didn't think about being. I think it's cool now that you mention it.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you had a transition phase, or was it like cold turkey vegan one day?
No, it was cold turkey.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I could try it one day.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to say cold turkey if you're vegan. So I think you just made me. I just slipped. I think you just caused me to slip.
Yeah.
It was cold tofu for me.
He was like,
Cold
"Oh my
tofu.
god, did I just stop being vegan?"
Right, cold tofurkey. It was cold
Wait.
tofurkey.
So can I ask? This is the first time I think that a vegan's come on our show. Like, is there a point when you
It's
turn
the
vegan
first time that any Nebraskan vegan has been on any show ever, by the way.
That is true.
Okay.
Is there any point in your transition to veganism that tofu begins to start tasting remotely like meat?
Well, I think if you go into it thinking everything's going to be the same, I think that's where people fail. Like if you go, there's just things you have to leave behind. But I had to leave behind because I was having severe issues. I had plantar fasciitis. I had tennis elbow. I had all these things that were being treated independently, and all of them disappeared in 10 days. Gout went away. Plantar fasciitis, tennis elbow, nocturia, everything that I had in that, like things that they wanted to give me medicines for and take tons of pills for, and blood pressure went down. Kidney stones started to go away. Like serious issues went away in 10 days. So like and I'm a foodie, like I need to be entertained when I eat. And I will tell you that I just go seek out innovative vegan dishes. I'm not looking for similes. Like it doesn't need to taste like something for me to enjoy it. And I think if you can abandon that, I'm just getting serious here for a second. I didn't mean to, but I'm very passionate about this because if you watch, oh my God,
Garrett argues.
Garrett, anyway, it's literally
Calling you
everything to do with animal proteins and
Garrett
inflammation.
eats 409, so
He drinks 409. But yeah,
That's
so
a very good point.
most doctors would agree with you, Garrett. And I'm just telling you right now that inflammation went away in 10 days. It was just watch Game Changers on Netflix. It's one of the top rated things. If you want to just learn about it, just go do it. And this is coming from I'm 6'4", 300 pounds, vegan from Nebraska. So of like 9 months.
Okay. Wait. So you only started being vegan 9 months ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to. I was dying.
Yeah, there's also a famous internet personality. You might know him. He's I think he's also a therapist.
Well, there's not a community. Like I didn't get a card saying, "Hey, you can come to meet people." That's not how it works. Like
No, of course.
we use the word community far too much in society today, and there isn't one. So there's just me. I choosing to do this because of health reasons.
Yeah, no. So I'm bringing this up because it's kind of related. So Jordan Peterson had this podcast or this show where he said that he switched to an all beef diet.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he was arguing that like all his health problems were going away as well.
Yeah, no, totally. Look,
So it's
I'm a
really,
huge fan of him, by the way, and just that didn't work for me.
Yeah,
It's
and
okay.
I think everybody's a little bit different. I think probably 80% of most of it is when you give up all the other ancillary crap, right? And I do absolutely think whatever people eat, like whatever their health and nutrition like tells, like your body tells you what you need, and then just follow what it's reacting well to, right? So for me, I do pretty high protein, moderate, high quality fat, very low carb, and that has worked super well for me. And like I feel the healthiest I've ever felt in my whole life. But that doesn't work for everybody. So just like find what your body tells you what it wants and then just give it to it. And don't, because sometimes it says you want wild berry Skittles. That's a trick.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. However, I feel like a lot of the health benefits in general, if you can get on something where you're giving up like all of the processed crap and all of the sugar and all of the like the fake oils and vegetable oils and stuff like that, I feel like that's 75-80% of the process right there, just giving up all of the extra stuff that we eat.
Yeah.
Also.
So
I tried to go low carb as well, but I couldn't function at all.
Yeah.
Watch Game Changers. It was executively produced by Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they're not trying to sell anything. It's just it's literally how some of the most elite athletes in the entire world looked at this. And it addresses some of the things that you hear, like, hey, tofu's going to make you have too much estrogen. All the silly things people say are like, hey, you don't get enough protein. How do you get B12? All of it's BS. So just take a look, just watch it, and just make your own judgment.
Yeah, I think I watched the trailer of it. It was also where this like one of the strongest power lifters claimed that he was also vegan, and he was
the strongest man in the world, actually.
Yeah, I think his name was Patrick Bobamian.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he's
big guy.
Crazy,
yeah, dude. And he was just, like, his vegan diet was also insane, but very high caloric vegan diet.
Mm-hmm.
I also, this is one thing I do think is effective across the board, and I've been doing it for 2 years and I love it. We've talked about it a little bit, is some kind of like intermittent fasting, some kind of mindful eating period and fasting period. And for me, I do 6 hours of eating and 18 hours of fasting a day. And I think that's, for my goals, that's working well for me. I don't think that works well for everyone, but I think just having like mindful eating windows is helpful. I fire so much better when I'm fasted. The minute I put food in my body, I get tired, I get sluggish, I get less creative. So I personally think that that's a good thing to play around with for just about anyone who wants to address some health and nutrition concerns. As somebody who's not a doctor or dispensing medical advice, I just think it's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. So we covered the news. And now we get to talk about Jason. And well, Becky, you do realize that this is now the Robin and Becky show.
This is what we've wanted all along. Honestly,
we've managed to get rid of both of them.
It's what it should have been from the beginning, Robin.
I know.
Watch this.
Like, my name's.
This is gonna be the best show ever.
My name wasn't even in the initial like release of the show. It was the Eric and Rodney show, and then they eventually put with Robin, and now none of them are here. It's just me.
Well, how the turntables.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions, and I think Becky might have some as well. Rodney was also going to ask a couple of questions because he was also in sales he still is, so Rodney worked for a long time on Wall Street. Jason, where were your sales experiences in your career? like what industry?
I think you're asking me like what sales jobs I've had.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't think that's where I got my sales experience, but I will tell you my jobs. Yeah. I am a parent, and if you've ever had to go convince a little child to eat vegetables, you are in sales. So that's where some of my sales experience started. Okay. I also, as a nuclear engineer, and one of my jobs was being able to communicate to the public about that. So, and a lot of people approach that with severe gross conceptual errors, and to an extent where it debilitates them from rational thinking to solve problems. But I had to sell the idea, right? And so I think that influence is at the heart of all sales, right?
Yep.
And so I think that influence, by the way, is at the heart of marketing, which is why they are two sides of the same coin, right? Yep. And so, that said, I've worked in tech sales, technology, selling multi-million-dollar computer networks, giant security systems. I also, what my most fascinating, one of my favorite things that I've ever done was I was actually the chief sales officer for Jeb Blunt, who is an international best-selling author at his company, Sales Gravy. And I went into it knowing that I was pretty good at sales, but when I left there, I felt like I had 2 PhDs in sales, because I had seen hundreds of different companies and thousands of different people all across the globe. And I will say that that is where I started to really put some polish on. Yeah.
Right. So almost all of your sales experience came from like practical experience.
Yeah, no, it's the school of hard knocks, I guess. I mean, here and there you get peppered with some formal training, and just like anything else. And I've read lots of books. I mean, I think you can see some of them back there, but I will say, just like anything, you need to take what you can make great and then leave the rest behind. So I don't know that there's any one book. I will say that Jeb's books, if I was going to plug something, he has a canon, unlike many sales authors that just try to write a book. There's some books that literally written by non-salespeople with the goal of selling a sales book, which is brilliant. People go buy it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best book ever."
I've read a few of those.
It's written by people. Some of them are really popular books. Like when I run into them, I'm like, "Oh my God, you realize like you bought into this idea that's just theory and bullshit." Can you say bullshit on the air?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, we've said much worse things.
Holy shit! Thank God.
Eric has like 5 or 6 racist jokes on every episode.
Oh shit! Okay, great. Fine. All right. So anyway, but I digress. I mean, Jeb has a canon, and I would say that when you put all those together, it's the most comprehensive, holistic, amazing way to approach sales. So.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with a lot that you're saying. I actually went to school for marketing, and when I got out into getting my first job, it felt like I knew nothing. Like all the theoretical knowledge that you get from a degree, useless. So,
well,
like
I'm just out of curiosity, why do you think college is useful?
I can't answer that question.
Because why do you think employers think college is useful?
Okay, well, I'm gonna repeat what my dad told me what college was useful for. It gives you like a certificate of proof that at least you have some kind of proof that you, because like the curriculums, you need to have some level of intelligence to be able to pass those courses. So it gives you like a proof of that you're smart enough to go through college and get a degree.
Well, what if you had all D's? You're still gonna get it. Like, how was it? I don't think it's an intelligence thing, although that's a very important factor. I think it's the fact that you can stick to a single idea for 4 years at a time.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing that you've ever done where you can stick to something. You're proving to the world that, hey, in the right environment, I can stick to an idea. I can stick to a goal for multiple years. And that's really what it's about. Because they don't ask you for your GPA. They just ask you for the certificate.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's a good point. I've never thought of it that way.
Like you need to go, if you're going to be a plumber and you're going to plumb every day, if that's your active verb is plumb, then you kind of need to know your shit, right? So, those certificates mean something a little different. But and lawyers and doctors and people that require certain licenses to operate. But yeah, in marketing, you're going to get I think you get exposed to ideas, you get exposed to vernacular. I think you can't even succeed if you don't have a little bit of that coming into it. But I think leaving college and saying, hey, I don't know anything, fill my cup is not a bad stance, Robin. I think that's a fantastic way to approach life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then so then another thing I also wanted to ask you is since you obviously have a lot of experience, what are some tips for some younger guys? And I know that you may not have like the typical sales jobs experience, but what are some tips for some younger men who are trying to get into the sales industry and get up the ranks?
That is such a loaded question. I love it, but it's not a one. I can't give you 30 seconds of wisdom here.
It's okay. We have 10 minutes.
Okay, so what do I say to someone who wants to get in sales? Get into it and be authentic. One of the most impactful, meaningful experiences I've ever had in a sales training. Okay, I'm going to share a story with you. Was at a Bible study. And the Bible study was at someone's home, and the focus of this Bible study, which drew me in, was discipleship, which means going out and talking about your faith. Now, listen, I'm not a religious person, but I see value in that, because the second hardest sales job in the world is recruiting religion. The first one is military recruiters. They are the most important people on the planet Earth. And I was very proud to have a career where I trained military recruiters, because without them, we are in trouble. And so, but that said, that's a hard thing to sell. So stepping out of religion in that, I went to this course to learn, how do people learn to overcome their fear associated with selling, right? And so one of the things that I learned when I was observing, I was watching these complete strangers come into a stranger's home. And one of the first things I noticed is that they were sharing stories with strangers. And they were talking about, movies that they watched, articles they read, recipes they tried, restaurants they went to, shows that they're watching, books that they've read, and they're sharing with a passion. And I realized something. These same people are now sitting in a room scared to talk about their faith, scared to talk about what they believe in. So I did some research on that phenomenon, because I found it very interesting that someone could talk to complete strangers about a restaurant, but couldn't talk about something that saved their life, their afterlife. Like, I found that so strange. So I started to do research on it. So it inspired me to do a lot of research. And here, I'm going to share, forget the details. Here's the 2 fundamental prerequisites for sharing something with someone that you don't know, which is what sales is. Sales, especially prospecting, what's fascinating is people are so afraid of that. But prospecting is literally the art of interrupting someone with the audacity that you have an idea that's better than theirs. Think about that. Hey, you don't know me, but I'm going to call you and tell you that you're doing shit wrong and you should listen to me. Fuck. Like, and so if that, and I realize that is a gross, boiled down. But the thing is, the two fundamental prerequisites to sharing something with someone that you do not know, like the sales, is number one, you must believe that what you are selling is true. You must believe that by sharing it, it will impact that person in a positive way. So, here's how I get my people motivated in my company, because we sell large security systems into schools to protect kids from crappy things that are happening. Here's the deal, guys. We have good news. We believe that what we have to offer will save kids. And we're going to run into people who are like, oh, we don't want to talk to you. We don't want this. We don't need that. We already work with someone. All of those objections, rejects, those are the things that scare. If we didn't have objections and rejections, everybody would be in sales. But people are absolutely terrified of those situations. And so but the thing is look at a doctor. They do tests on you, and they do research, they do lab results, they see all things, and they need to call you and tell you have cancer. Well, I'm not saying that's good news, but they believe fundamentally that they need to call you. They have information that's true that they believe, and they have information that by telling you, we might be able to do something about that. And despite you not wanting to talk to them and avoid them and have all the negative emotions that they have, see the tears and the fear. Can you imagine having to tell people that all day? But they do. Why? Because they know what they're saying is true, and they know by sharing it with you, it will improve your life in a positive way. And to me, if you can't grab onto those two things, you will suck at sales. Yeah. But if you can grab onto those things and stuff that into your soul and stuff that into your heart, then you will be very successful, even without polish. Just believe in what you're doing. Believe that it affects someone in a positive way. Stay away from the slick willy, slick snot, stupid shit that you do. Stay away from the people that tell you that you can do everything through social media. And I love social media. Clearly, it's a huge fundamental prerequisite to be successful, but that can't be the only thing. You got to pick up the phone. You got to stop by. You got to go to trade shows. You got to get into this. You got to be a human being. Otherwise, you will lose yourself in an undifferentiated sea of digital sameness. So you have to be able to go interface with people, and you have to do so with conviction and passion. Wow. I hope that answered your question.
It did. It did. It was a very insightful 5 minutes, and I'm fascinated with your explanation of prospecting. Was that self-quoted, or was that from a book?
No, that's me. That's when I teach people. When I would teach people to prospect, and I would largely use Jeb's materials from Fanatical Prospecting, just like one of the best prospecting books ever written. Period. Right. And he gives you the framework for how to do about every single thing you need to do in today's world. Okay. Yeah. That said, as I taught people, I saw this trend, and people were just terrified of rejection. They were terrified of objections. Like, I have a story that I had this guy that was working for me at the time, and he called in, and I could hear I could hear him on the phone. I could hear the person screaming. He called in to talk about sales training for salespeople. And this is in 2020. And here's what happened. I could hear his screaming. So I went in there and just kind of put my hand on his shoulder, because I could tell he was having palpitations, right? And so he gets hung up on after 5 minutes of being screamed at. This is everyone's worst nightmare, right? Like, I can see sweat on Becky's face right now, because this is her nightmare.
That's my setting spray.
What's that?
That's my setting spray.
Mine too.
I use it. I'm covered in sweat because it's really hot in the Philippines, but my camera isn't HD enough to show you.
So, but the thing is I went in there and I was like, hey, he goes, man, he was screaming at me I said, go take a walk. But I said, you were just given a gift. Right. He's like, I don't understand that. So he goes and takes a break. He comes back. He says, I'm pissed at you for saying it's a gift. I said, that was a gift. The reason it was a gift is because what do you think he did right after he hung up that call? I don't know. Went and killed people. No. Do you think he got on the phone? He called his kids. He's like, you're going to be so proud of your dad, because I just this guy was trying to do his job, and I told him what's up. Do you think he had a room full of people that were applauding him? Or do you think he might be embarrassed that he treated another human being like that? He goes, well, I hope he's embarrassed. I said, I guarantee he's embarrassed.
Yeah.
I said, here's what you do. You leverage grace. And I tell you, grace is the thing that will pull you through rejection, because you got to understand, how many times have you been imperfect? You snapped at someone completely innocent. You called, and it was your call, or it was out of context, and they said something that you interpreted incorrectly. Why do we not immediately, our brains fill in that with the story, instead of immediately going, oh, they hate me. Oh my God, I'm never calling back. No. So here's what you're going to do. I said, you're going to email him right now, and you're going to say, hey, I called earlier. It sounds like you're having a terrible day, and I really hope it gets better, and I'm sorry I interrupted. Send.
Did he reply?
15 seconds later, his phone rings, because the guy was given this gift to apologize. Because lots of times when we screw up, we are not given the gift to go back to that person and apologize for shit ass behavior, which is a technical term in California for behavior.
I'll admit, I've had situations like that in my cold calls, and it never occurred to me to. So
here's what we learned. You email and say, hey, listen, I caught you at a bad time. I'm so sorry. I hope you have a better day. He calls. He says, listen, I owe you an apology. You called me an hour after I had to fire my entire sales team because the pandemic is killing my business. Some of them are family. And I said, he said, listen, I'm sorry. He goes, listen, I get it, man. I call people all the time, and it's not always great timing. He goes, well, no, listen, my brother-in-law, his business is thriving right now. I'm going to give you his number because I think he could use you. Now, listen, that's a
yes.
true story, guys. But the thing is we immediately film the negative. Like, we're very negative, but natural. We're very negative. We immediately assume it's personal. We immediately assume like the world has gotten together outside of our purview just to attack us. It is so idiotic. And this thing is in sales, if you believe what you're saying is true and you believe that will help someone, you will plow through it. And you just put a little side of grace on it and you will be successful.
That's a great story. Although we do have to end the show because it is an hour. I would like to ask you, Jason, if you would want to plug anything into the show before we head off.
No, you guys keep doing this, right? We need. Although we didn't get to talk about my favorite thing, which is why sales and marketing are brother and sister, but in a non-sexual way. We do need to talk about how sales and marketing come together, because I see an epidemic of even companies that are big enough to know better, where they do not understand the difference between chemistry and alchemy, and they see science, they see sales as chemistry, they see marketing as alchemy, or they see sales as astronomy and marketing as astrology. They just don't understand it. And that is marketing professionals' fault. And I think that we, with sales leaders side by side, need to go educate the world why this is important.
I agree. I'm kind of heartbroken that Eric and Rodney weren't on the show.
I think this has been the best show ever. The best show you've ever had.
I guess we know what that takes, right?
I guess this logo is gonna change after this one.
Well, yeah. Well, apparently the key is just put an Obama picture smoking dope, and we're good.
Sounds right.
But we're
all right,
time, guys.
We're not streaming,
yes,
right?
likewise.
We're done streaming.
So we're streaming on YouTube and LinkedIn, but Facebook cuts off exactly at 1 hour.
Gotcha.
So we're still streaming for the other ones.
I will save what I was gonna say.
Yeah, no. If Eric and Rodney are back, we'd love to have you on the show again, Jason, because I feel like they had so many questions that they weren't able to ask you.
I'll put eyelashes on this time. I didn't realize that was the fundamental prerequisite for success.
Yes, please.
I trusted you. Also, Robin, let's talk about whether or not we really want Eric and Rodney back on it.
Okay, I'll consider it.
Let's talk about whether or not we think that's the right move.
Okay, I'm out. I don't want to be a part of this. I'll see you guys later.
Bye, America.
Thanks.
See ya.
Oh, he left.
Yeah.
Question: do you hear the dog barking in the background, or is that not coming through? Thank God. Okay, I have this little Dachshund, and I don't know how to shut him up since we moved to the new apartment.
Cute. Is he alone?
I'll show you. Yeah. No, so here's the funny thing. He's half Dachshund, half Shih Tzu. So yes, he gets the long hair. But I trimmed it. Come here. I think he's just like anxious because he wasn't able to see me for an hour.
Didn't see Daddy.
Here he is. His name's Jaeger.
Oh, my baby's the cutest puppy.
Oh, he's not even a puppy. He's a year and a half old.
They're all puppies. I call every dog a puppy.
That's fair. He has the most innocent little face. It's so cute.
You are. You never do anything wrong, huh? Oh, it's your baby. I have air conditioning if you want to come live with me.
I have that too, just not in this room because it's a new apartment and it was completely bare, so I had to install everything myself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hey, boy.
Well, you have a very cute dog. What's his name?
After my favorite alcohol, Jägermeister.
Jaeger. It's because you're 12.
Constantly barking at something.
Jaeger. That's so cute.
Loud. Come here, boy.
That's so funny.
Okay. You're still gonna come on the show next week when we have Eric, Rodney, and everyone. Cause I'm not sure how that episode's gonna go. 5 people is a lot to do one podcast.
Yeah.
But I think we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be fine. That's fine.
I'll send you the graphics and the invite for that one. But I think it's not until next Friday, if I got the scheduling correct.
I think we're Wednesday.
No. Dylan also confirmed for Friday.
Oh, he did? Okay, then yeah.
He did.
Wednesday. But yeah, just let me know. But yeah.
Yep, we'll do. I hope you're also free on Friday, 10 to 11.
I think I am.
Okay.
Let me double check, but I think so.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks again.
I'll talk to you later.